Welcome to today's webinar, Transparency is the New Green in Product Selection and Specification. This is our second product transparency trend report. We did our first 2 years ago, where we reported that the state of product transparency had gone from early adoption to early mainstream, and we'll cover some of that data. And today we're here to talk about how product transparency has moved from early mainstream to becoming a specification requirement. And we're going to look at the number of manufacturers and the kinds of disclosures that are being created across the MasterFormat divisions and sections that are prominently used. So as advertised, we're going to cover which MasterFormat sections have the most product transparency activity and why. We're going to take a quick look at the increase in manufacturers creating EPDs with fewer PCRs. We're going to take a quick deep dive on Division 9, which is a pretty significant MasterFormat division with a lot of sections. We'll look at how the EC3 tool and the results that we're displaying in the transparency catalog is utilizing the embodied carbon, i.e. the global warming potential result from EPDs, from all EPDs in a category, which is an important occurrence that now other tools and there are other uses for data being reported in EPDs aside from simply the EPD being a report in of itself. And then a quick look at how to use the transparency catalog to be able to find every manufacturer with transparency disclosures in each MasterFormat division section in a single click, which now expedites the selection specification process exponentially versus traditional research methods that had existed before. For those of you who are new to Sustainable Minds, thank you for coming. I'm Terry Swack, the founder and CEO. I founded the company in 2007, and our mission has never changed. And our mission is to operationalize environmental performance into mainstream product development and manufacturing to drive revenue and growth through greener product innovation. In the transparency space, we are the only end-to-end solutions provider. We are a program operator. We develop PCRs and deliver EPDs. We also deliver technical services, LCA and material evaluation services. We think it's pretty critical to have technical skills in the organization if we're going to be delivering tools to automate and simplify and digitize those processes. And our solutions are designed to seamlessly integrate product transparency into product marketing to credibly build preference and value for those brands, for those manufacturers who are investing in product transparency and actually delivering higher performing, greener and healthier products. So at the end of 2018, when we delivered our first trend report and spoke about product transparency having moved from very early adoption to early mainstream, the subject that we really wanted to bring attention to at this time, and still it's the core subject, which is that product transparency is really about performance. It's another type of performance criteria. And now environmental performance and material health are included in the definition of high performance. So when we're talking about high performance or high performing buildings, that includes products that have better environmental performance and better material health, because at the end of the day, if we're going to build buildings that have less impact on the environment, then we have to be able to select, specify, and then ensure that those products that get specified actually get built into the building so that actually higher performing and less impactful buildings get built. So the primary intent for doing life cycle assessment or a material ingredient evaluation is for a manufacturer to gain those insights into where in the life cycle the environmental impacts are occurring and where human health impacts are potentially posing risks and hazards, so that that information can get driven back into the product development process to make higher performing and better products. Using this data for public reporting is really a secondary purpose. But for many manufacturers, it was the instigator to get them to do these reports because of the demand from the industry to be transparent. But ultimately, designing and marketing, and so that's what public-facing transparency documentation is. It's used for marketing purposes. Designing and marketing is a continuous improvement loop that ultimately should continue to drive performance improvements in products in every category over time as more and more manufacturers are transparent about their environmental performance and material health. So a little bit of backstory. We launched the Transparency Catalog at Greenbuild in 2016 with the idea that transparency is the new green. And we came to that conclusion when, in 2012, when LEED version 4 was first introduced in draft form, introducing the new product transparency credits, one for EPDs, the other for material ingredient assessments. Essentially, what was being said was buildings are just a compilation of products, and to build higher performing buildings, we have to have higher performing products, and the way that we measure needs to be standardized, consistent, scientific, and credible, and no longer relying on single attribute reports that only tell a very small fraction of a story, but looking holistically at multi-attribute, or again, holistically at the product's life cycle and the material ingredients. So by 2016, there were only 350 brands in North America who had invested in one or both types of transparency disclosures. But we felt by that time, by 2016, 4 years after the first draft of LEED version 4 had been introduced, that there were enough manufacturers to now create a place to shine the light on their work to help people who did want to specify, find, select, and specify those manufacturers' products to build higher performing buildings, but also to reward those manufacturers for being transparent, because if ultimately these products do not get specified and built into the buildings, manufacturers are going to lose their interest in being transparent, given that it's expensive, risky, takes a lot of time, and often doesn't come with easy approval from within the rest of the organization. So here we go, 350 brands. We were pretty excited about that. And from the very beginning, the Transparency Catalog was designed to be a specification tool. And we're showing you, this was on the front page when we launched the catalog, of how the catalog would behave when we were able to implement MasterFormat filtering, which is what now will make selecting 3 manufacturers for each MasterFormat section in the spec, simple and easy, and the ability to find the products and the disclosures, et cetera, et cetera. But as you can see, we were taking a pretty long view on how the market was going to evolve. And so what we've done, we became industry analysts, and we track on a continual basis every program operator and every material ingredient disclosure program, technical program. And we also monitor all of the green building rating systems that offer credits for environmental performance and material health. And every month, actually multiple times during a month, we'll add manufacturers to the catalog who have created their first one or both types of disclosures and continue to bring to market the complete list of every manufacturer who has invested in product transparency so that, again, they're findable in one place, making it easy to select and specify and reward them for being transparent. So by the end of 2017, 14 months after we launched the catalog, at that point, there were 900 plus brands and industry organizations investing in product transparency. And then another year later, we were already up to 1,060 brands and industry organizations. And at that point, we felt the time was right to finally introduce our MasterFormat filtering and access to every environmental product declaration in North America, all in one place. And so with the implementation of MasterFormat filtering in our version 2, we were able to demonstrate, again, the 1,000 plus manufacturers' products, over 20 MasterFormat divisions with many, many more sections, again, making it possible to do what couldn't be done before in a single click, which is to find every manufacturer in every section with transparency documentation. Some of you might ask, why did we add every EPD in North America? And the answer is that with so many program operators and variations of EPDs, there really needed to be one single source where all those EPDs could be found, where we could start to deliver them in a standardized way, the ability to be able to consolidate some of that information, and most importantly, to digitize it, that delivering important content encoded in PDFs is really not a long-term solution to making data actionable. And so at least by getting everything all in one place, we can begin to make comparison easier, but then we can start to take action on standardization and digitization and beginning to build access points into other kinds of tools back and forth that put that data to work to help make better decisions. And you'll see that's what we've done with folks at the EC3 tool. So today, our tally at the end of January, another 12 months later, there's now 1,270 manufacturers and industry organizations in 23 MasterFormat divisions that have created product transparency disclosures. Here's the front page of the catalog, and you can always see we keep a running tally right here at the top. There's two ways you can access the manufacturers. You can, again, use the MasterFormat filtering, and I'll show you in a little bit, every single brand is listed on the front page alphabetically, and you can click the link and go right to their listing. So here's the breakdown of activity by MasterFormat division. You can see that we're showing 685 manufacturers with EPDs, 384 with HPDs, and 201 that have only a cradle-to-cradle or level or declare label. Many of the others, many of these folks have multiple EPDs and declare labels. There's 112 that have just EPDs and HPDs, and 272 with HPDs only. And the reason that we are reporting on HPDs. It is by far the most active material ingredient disclosure program by really orders of magnitude, which doesn't make the other ones any less important. It's just more activity with HPDs. And what I want to point out, the caveat here, the numbers for concrete, we're reporting that we have access to that many EPDs from manufacturers that have made them publicly available. For example, on the ASTM website or the NRMCA website. This count does not include the nearly 14,000 on-demand EPDs that are being generated through Climate Earth software for each product mix in each location. And all of those EPDs are actually available in the EC3 tool, and we'll look at that as well. Breaking down Division 9, it's a very large division. It includes products that get selected and specified day in and day out. And you can see that the most activity in Division 9, not surprisingly, is flooring. And again, not surprisingly, lots and lots of HPDs in Division 9, simply because these are the interior products that people interact with, again, day in and day out. This is the North American PCR Catalog. It's a Google Doc. Sustainable Minds built it, and we maintain it. It's available through the front page, or actually through the global navigation of the Transparency Catalog. And we put it up about 3 years ago and have kept track of all of the new PCRs and the expiring PCRs. And the big thing that we did was we organized all the building construction PCRs by MasterFormat division. Even though most PCRs don't designate a MasterFormat division, it wasn't too hard to organize it that way. Given that that's the starting point to doing an EPD, the first question is there a PCR? But what we've seen over time is, and again, I know this is small, and I'll show you how to go look at this on your own from the catalog. But every year as EPDs expire, there have not been replacement PCRs. They are not getting renewed at a 1-to-1 rate. In fact, far from it. And you can see that the expiration dates in red are the PCRs that are expiring now in 2010. And as far as we know, there isn't a replacement PCR in development for each of these expiring PCRs. Ultimately, this is going to become a little bit problematic in that manufacturers who do want to start reporting will need to create PCRs to get started, because you can't create an EPD to an expired PCR. And there's much more streamlined and standardized options today for creating better PCRs, again, in a more streamlined and a more cost-effective way that will create standardized results. And the manufacturers who want to get started are going to still have to recognize that they're going to need to work with one or more of their competitors to get those PCRs created. We often hear from manufacturers when there's not a PCR, can we just do it ourselves? And the answer is no. It's a technical standard that should represent the interests of the manufacturers in that product group. And only by bringing people together and having the people responsible for creating those kinds of products to have the same mindset about how to measure what ultimately should represent a benchmark, how do improvements get made. Again, I think the path forward to creating simpler, more standardized PCRs is an exciting one, because ultimately what that means is that better LCAs and better EPDs, and better meaning more specific, will be able to be created so that people making decisions about products can really make better decisions based on real performance data and not estimates. Here's a quick look at that list of PCRs that are current, the number that are expiring in 2020. You can see 12 are expiring. There's only currently 58 that are valid, so that's a pretty big chunk. And so we can count and measure the number of disclosures that have been created, but what isn't really countable is the number of products that the disclosures represent. And so when we started the Transparency Catalog, that was one of the key items that we aimed to address, which was correlating each of the technical disclosures with the products that they go with. Because at the end of the day, someone specifying a product doesn't care if a manufacturer has 1 EPD or 20 EPDs. They only want to know that there's an EPD for the product that they're looking to specify. So we designed the Transparency Catalog to solve that problem. When you look at a Transparency Catalog listing, in this table, which is the heart of the listing, which is really a matrix, the horizontal axis is the master format section name, and we append the manufacturer's brand name or descriptor so the user knows what that manufacturer calls their products in that section. And then within that is the list of all of the products with the link to the product page on the manufacturer's website, the links to the EPDs and the other material ingredient disclosures that they have. And we bring to the surface the salient attributes and results of that disclosure. So here for the EPD, you can see that it's cradle to grave, it's North American in attribute. It's product specific because it's not industry average, and we'll show you what that looks like. And you can see that it will be valid through April of 2020. And the same thing on the material side. In a glance, a user can see that this product has a declare label, it has an HPD, the declare label is red list free. Again, the expiration dates. And last year in November, when the EC3 tool launched at Greenbuild, we also launched our integration, our data integration with the EC3 tool, which now adds another data attribute to the environmental performance side of the table, where when the manufacturer has an EPD for that particular product in the categories that are covered in the EC3 tool, we now can provide the carbon footprint or the embodied carbon footprint as determined in the EC3 tool. And what we're showing you here is when you mouse over that question mark, it pops up this tooltip that condenses this very complex and sophisticated methodology for how the EC3 tool takes the embodied carbon results or the global warming results, A1 through A3 from the LCA, to create an industry range. And what we're doing is conveying where that particular product's carbon footprint compares to that industry range. Now, not only can a user then look at the manufacturer's listing in the catalog and see the range of products that they have in each master format section, which disclosures, and now the variability in the carbon footprint as well. Now the user can use the master format filtering, go to any section, division or section in the catalog, and now that's another data point that people can factor into their decision-making process as they're comparing products from a single manufacturer and between multiple manufacturers. I'm just going to jump to the demo here because a half an hour goes by quickly. So here we are at the Transparency Catalog. Right here, you can click and go to the PCR Catalog. And you can scroll down and see all the PCRs. You can click here and actually get the PCR for the most part. So that's easy to find. And again, as I was pointing out, a user can scroll the front page of the site and see all of the brands that are there and have products with transparency information, or they can filter by master format division. They can pick a section from the front page or not. So depending upon the use case and where a user is in their product selection process, here's a scenario where perhaps a user says, okay, I'm getting ready to start looking at products in Division 7. So I only want to see, so I'm going to see all of the products in Division 7 first, and then I'll drill into the sections. So what the user will see is that there's 148 brands with 1,224 products. And now using these filters in any order that helps a user ultimately drill down to just what they want to see, the user can say, great, I don't really want to page through all those brands, which the user can do. You might say, show me all the brands, and then I'd be able to select just the ones I want to see and save those brands and just continue to look at those. Or the user might say, all right, well, I'm working on a lead project. Show me all of the products with an EPD that will help me earn that credit. So that's great. That filters it down to just 79 brands and 495 products. And the user might say, well, you know, let's go for broke here. Show me all of the products that have both an EPD and a material ingredient disclosure. And now we're down to 6 brands and 293 products. So pretty quickly, a user can find what they want with the disclosures that they want. Again, makes it super easy to pull those things together for the submittal package. And if I clear the filters for just a moment and start over again here in Division 7, the other way, and the obvious specification path that people would take would be to say, okay, well, now that I'm in Division 7, show me everything in 0720, because now I'm just looking at 0720. And so the way we design the filtering is that we wanted to enable 2 things. One, that people might find brands that they're unfamiliar with, or 2, they might find products that solve the same problem that they didn't know existed. So what we've done is when the user selects 0720, every section within 0720 is turned on. So you're going to see every manufacturer and every product. So now the user is going to say, okay, I don't want air barriers. I'm going to turn those off. I don't want vapor barriers. I don't want weather barriers. I don't want exterior insulation, but I am interested in roof and deck insulation, so I'm going to go back and look at that later. And even I can get real granular and simply say I'm only interested in board, blanket, foam in place, and loose fill. And still, you've got 27 brands and 79 products. And I can go apply, again, the other filters to get it down to just what I want, or apply the rating systems filter. This last field is the only search field that you're going to find. And what this is for is it will help you find a product by name. So it searches on the product name field. So for example, a user might have selected a product that they remember, they might have remembered was called earth wool, but they can't remember who manufactured it. So they can put the product name in, and there the manufacturer comes up. So I'm going to wrap up the webinar. The wrap up is that there is continuing and increasing number of manufacturers investing in product transparency, and those who have gotten started are doing more, which now makes it possible for architects, engineers, contractors, and owners who want to build high-performance buildings to be able to find, select, and specify those credibly higher-performing products, and to have the ability to reward those manufacturers who are making the effort to understand their impacts and make improvements. So I invite you all to use the catalog, specify those products. We have a great webinar coming up next week with BASF and USG, who will be talking about how they make their products and what they've learned from their product transparency efforts. So thanks again for spending this time with us today, and we hope to see you at webinars in the future. Have a great day.